When someone talks about work, what's the first job that comes to mind?
Accountant, doctor, real estate agent, these jobs may be enough for most, but some people want to earn money in a way that isn't the norm.
Why do someone else's taxes when you could earn a living scouring beaches for shark teeth, or designing a movie set that'll be seen by thousands?
The people we'll see today ask themselves one question: how can I make a living without working a day in my life? To answer that question, they found Odd Jobs.
Today, we'll start by looking at a new craze that became popular during the start of the pandemic, after everyone decided that they'd spent enough time trying to make sourdough bread. Charcuterie boards have become more than just something good to eat for the subject of our first story.
Hey, I'm Rosie. I'm the owner of Rosie's Char Bar.
Rosie's Char Bar is a charcuterie board business founded in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. Although it's become a successful side business for her, it actually didn't start out that way.
During COVID, I started making them after seeing some online, and I was like, oh, I could do that. So I started doing it, and I absolutely loved it. And then people started liking them too, so I'm like, why don't I just start selling them? And that's pretty much how it started.
When choosing a name for her business, she really wanted to stray from the word charcuterie for, well, obvious reasons.
I feel that charcuterie is a hard word for a lot of people to say. Rosie's Char Bar, it's catchy and easy to pronounce.
When you think charcuterie boards, you think meats and cheeses. But Rosie doesn't limit her boards to just that.
I make brunch boards, which consists of bagels, croissants, different cream cheeses, like breakfasty foods. And then I make dessert boards also, which include fruits, chocolate, cookies, s'mores, really whatever dessert you want in it.
But today, she's making her classic board, which includes a variety of fruits. This may seem like an easy shopping trip, but she does run into some issues.
You have to get lucky with fruit. Sometimes when I go shopping, all the strawberries will be moldy.
Nonetheless, we found a good batch and headed back to her home where the Char Bar creations began. In fact, Rosie considers her boards as a consumable art.
Charcuterie boards have to be visually pleasing, and we all know that the camera eats first. For example, right now it's fall, so I would cater my views and my vision to have a lot of orange in it.
After about 2 hours of creating this board, we then went to deliver it to a customer who ordered one for a work event.
We have a small event here today for a special client, and I'm sure they're gonna love her food. It came out really nice.
I asked Rosie if reviews like these are common. She responded with a knock on wood for luck.
Mostly, I never had a bad review.
Rosie's Char Bar is a small business that puts tons of love into their orders. You can check them out on Instagram at rosie.charbar.
The music industry is one of the hardest to be successful in. Many musicians would tell you that their degree looks great next to an eviction notice. But for this band, the dream may not be as far from their reach as you may think.
I first started playing music in 4th grade. I played the trumpet in school band, and that only lasted about 1 year before I started playing the drums. And then once I started playing drum set, I never really turned back. It was the only instrument I was interested in playing. My biggest inspiration as a musician has been Neil Peart from Rush and the band Rush. In all different parts of my life and in my playing, they've influenced me in different ways. My favorite moment so far being an iSwan was definitely writing our last full-length record, Manipulations. Warren and I spent like hours, months down in this basement ironing out these songs. We started with a real rough idea, and over time it got very refined. And then once we got Guy involved, it was like the cherry on top. You know, the finished product ended up being much more than I expected.
I started playing music when I was in 4th grade. I learned how to play trombone. Played for about 1.5 years and hated it. Around the time I was 13, I picked up guitar. Started playing with bands. Then I picked up bass guitar. About 5 years later, picked up drums, and about 5 years later than that, learned piano. And then just recently I started doing vocals and singing. My biggest musical inspiration has to be my mom. She has been recording and performing ever since I was little. She was the first person to take me into a music studio. She's the first person to buy me a guitar, buy my first 4-track. She's the first person who got me into multi-tracking. She's always been a big supporter, even till to this day. My favorite moment so far in iSwan is getting to play live, play some shows, go out and test my skills, act like a little bit of a goofball, and get to hang out with different people and different bands and see what's out there.
I first started playing music when I was 10. I picked up the guitar. I saw Metallica on MTV. They only had one video out, which was for the song One. And something about that, you know, playing guitar and singing just really connected with me. And I knew I wanted to play guitar, I knew I wanted to sing. Just kept on going from there. My biggest musical inspiration has been Mike Patton from the band Faith No More. Other than the traditional rock or experimental rock that Faith No More does, he's done a lot of things outside the box by himself, you know, with solo projects. Kind of crosses that boundary of a songwriter where, you know, you can't predict what he's going to do. My favorite moment so far with iSwan has been just consistently putting out music. The fact that we even have a new album coming out is, you know, amazing to me. I mean, I got people that want to play with me, the people that want to, you know, perform this music. It's really the best part about it.
Have you ever wondered why that lamp in that show that you just watched looks so familiar? Chances are they got it from IKEA in the same sale that you saw it in. Let's see what it's like to furnish a set with a true professional.
The word film is usually associated with cameras and actors, but there are so many other unique and essential roles that make part of it. In this segment, I'll be covering one of them.
Hi, my name is Natasha Senko-Thalman. I am a set designer and I have been doing this for 22 years now. What sparked my interest in this career? That's a very long answer. Originally, I had wanted to be a wardrobe stylist. It really wasn't until I moved to New York that I started working with a stylist who did wardrobe and props, and then I was kind of sold on that.
It is a fact that every set is different. So how do set designers come up with a variation of looks?
A lot of times the client will present their concept. A lot of times they'll present you with a storyboard or, you know, what they call a deck, and it's basically a booklet of the shoot's concept, and a lot of times that will have the color palette that they want to work with and a general idea of what they want it to look like. So you really have to elaborate on what, you know, the minimal information that you're given. I make a mood board, which is basically just kind of a PDF or paper that has like different elements of things that I'm looking to purchase.
A mood board. It's important to make sure that a set designer is on the same page as the producer or director, but it's also a leading step to the overall preparation process.
The prep process, it starts with research. There's a lot of shopping involved, internet shopping, as well as going out and shopping, and it's really important to have a lot of options. You definitely want to have those options as backup. You don't want to be sitting there stranded and, you know, everyone's looking at you for the answer and you don't have an answer to give.
On another note, while there are setups that have no need for construction, other times some productions do need that exciting process.
There are definitely times where I have to build stuff out. I worked on a movie that had a weird window in the bedroom and we couldn't switch out the bed, so I built a frame that covered the headboard, so it was basically a new headboard covering the window and covering the elements that the director didn't want to see.
Now, it might seem like a set designer's job is done when the production is over, but in reality, that is when another phase for this role begins.
Once everything is loaded in the location, everything has to come out of the location. Then there's the receipting phase. You basically do all of the returns, then you have to tape down all of your receipts onto different pages, deduct what was kept, what was not, reconcile all of those bills and photocopy them all and scan them and send them off to the client.
Natasha also shared what she likes most about her job.
It's gratifying to know that you've created something out of someone's idea. It's just something on paper and now it's a reality.
Believe it or not, the content of a magazine does not come together without the hard work of those who decide what people want to read. And one of those people is featured in our next segment. Let's take a look at how this magazine comes together.
My name is Justin Campana, and I am a content coordinator for Little Silver Neighbors.
Justin works as a writer for the small town of Little Silver's newspaper that often raises awareness of the town's events and advertises local businesses and restaurants.
So the process of writing for the paper is you find a local Little Silver resident, one who might be interested or one someone would recommend to you. You reach out to them, and if they're interested, you send them a questionnaire. You work your way from there. You schedule a phone call, interview them, you write the article, the first draft, and then you send it to them. Take any edits you have, and we have a photographer, Avery, who takes the pictures for the cover, and we put everything in one file. We just send it off. So segments I write are the local families or businesses we have in Little Silver. Those are sort of the key, the cover stories we work on. Around 800 to 1,000 words, we work on a cover story for a local business or a local family. I'd say my biggest recent challenge, it's always a challenge, is finding that next family who's interested. Sometimes, a family will back out, or I can't find someone, say I've done them all. It's really hard to find, and contact a Little Silver resident or a family or a business that would be interested in being a cover story, but I always manage to find a way. Writing for this magazine, I believe, opens a door for many opportunities for me. It looks really good on my resume. It kind of gives me the experience of what the industry is going to look like when I finally become a full-time writer. I feel like I have already put my foot in the door. Now I just need to get through. And I think this magazine helps me a lot.
Our next job is one of love and compassion. A mother who looks after her son day and night to ensure that he lives the life that he deserves. The title of the job is Direct Support Professional, but really, it's about being a mother in the truest sense of the word.
Yo me llamo Doris Medina Méndez, soy de República Dominicana y vivo aquí en Newark. Mi trabajo es cuidar a mi hijo, que es incapacitado, tiene autismo. Consiste en que yo tengo que cocinarle, meterlo a bañar, darle los medicamentos, hacerle jugo, estar pendiente a él todo el día, y también voy de compra con él al supermercado y a la farmacia. Yo pienso que el trabajo, la persona que se dedique a hacerlo, tiene que ser una persona con compasión, amor hacia la persona que cuida. Yo pensé hacer el DCP porque yo tomé esa decisión porque no quería llevar a mi hijo a un hogar, porque lo tuve 2 meses en un hogar y en verdad fue como maltratado. Entonces yo como madre, por amor a mi hijo, me sentía mal y yo preferí sacrificarme yo a dedicarme a él nada más. Yo tomé la decisión de hacer DCP, no solamente para atender a mi hijo en cuanto a sus necesidades, sino también para acompañarlo, para que él sea una mejor persona. Tomé la decisión de cuidar a mi hijo porque es lo más importante para mí, para que él se sienta más seguro, más cómodo y tenga mejor calidad de vida.
The heroes of healthcare during the pandemic are both seen and unseen. Our next subject is one of the unseen workers, and he ensured your vaccine was labeled correctly.
Hi, my name is Isaiah Miller, and I currently work at a company called Roche Molecular as a diagnostic technician. At this company, I currently work the night shift from Thursday night to Saturday night, 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. This company prints labels that are applied to medicines that are sent out to multiple companies, hospitals, and private owners, which are then used to treat patients. These medicines treat illnesses such as malaria, HIV/AIDS, COVID-19, influenza, and a plethora of others. The process for printing these labels and sending them out is as follows. We first go to the library and find the material that we're going to use to print out. We get the proper label and we bring all the material to the workstation. We then open up software, which we enter the information in. We make sure that the label has the proper barcode, ID number, date of manufacturing, and expiration date. We put the physical label into the printer and we send the number of labels that we need for the job. Jobs typically range from 80,000 to 120,000 labels, which take anywhere from 12 to 16 hours to print. After this process is done, we then put the labels into a kit and we send it out to the next manufacturing part of the company, which prep for sending. Since the pandemic, we've helped save over 1 million lives, and throughout this year alone, we've sent over 3.5 million labels out.
Next, we'll be taking a look at our very own Red Hawks Sports Network at MSU. Play-by-play commentary is no easy task, and neither is the rest of the work for our next guest. Let's hear about what it's like in the nest of the Red Hawks Sports Network.
Sports Network is the place where MSU students can help out as a team to get involved in sports on campus by calling and commentating games, edit, and do various other work in the office.
So I do a variety of different things. So just to give you kind of an idea, basically we have a class where we get assigned different roles every week. We have like 2 classes per week and we kind of get different roles. So I've done commentary for field hockey and swimming/diving. I've shot volleyball footage. I've done editing for different parts of the show, as well as just writing scripts. And I also currently have a feature piece in the works with certain interviews being lined up for that and writing scripts for that. So basically, I've done a little bit of everything here at the Sports Network. One of the cool things about being with the Red Hawks Sports Network is that we get to really tell the stories of these athletes and whatnot.
We won the NJAC in my senior year, and it was the best thing I did.
It's a really fun way to kind of just really tell the stories. I mean, you love the inspirational story about this aspiring young athlete who had these hardships and had to work their way to triumph, and just little things like that really get into making sure that Montclair State knows more about their athletes, and not just as players but as people. So there's so much that goes into doing really anything. I mean, it's all about preparation and really getting to know who you're talking about and what you're talking about. For example, I think commentary is the hardest part because you really, for a couple hours at a time, depending on the sport, you're going to have to try and describe the game, who's playing, what's happening. And for sports, for example, like field hockey, I never watched a single game of field hockey before this semester, and I've now done 2 games. How is that possible? Well, it's really just about learning about the sport beforehand, learning about the players and statistics about the players, the coaches and whatnot. There's so much that goes into preparation, but it's really the biggest part of our media field, really.
Follow Red Hawks Sports Network on all social media, and you might even see Evan around.
Shark teeth don't end up around the necks of surfers by accident, even though it would be cool if they had to fight the sharks. The Man in the Neck segment has found a way to make money collecting these teeth by selling them to people who won't search themselves.
Rocks, stamps, coins, comic books. All are various collectible items gathered by professionals and amateurs for profit, hobby, or scientific study. Christopher Andrews' choice is shark teeth.
I am a shark expert. I spend my time not just studying sharks, but also researching the teeth, the eating habits based on modern day sharks, as well as ancient fossilized shark teeth. There's a multiple set of tools that I would use. Probably the main one would be the sifter. This will allow me to take a big chunk of sand from the bottom of an ocean or dried up riverbed, and by shaking it, it will allow me to remove the sand and sediment around from the larger items such as shark teeth and other shark or fish bones. I have a store at eBay, and I also have a store where I sell them different prices depending on age, quality, desire. A great white shark tooth would usually fetch about maybe $20 depending on it because they're pretty common. A megalodon tooth, which is a shark from about 15,000 years ago, it's extinct now, would fetch between maybe $35 for a lower quality small one, up to $2,000 to $3,000 for a big full tooth.
It's quite easy for anyone to collect shark teeth. When will you begin your collection?
Designing and building the set of a film may be the most important, yet most forgotten part of the filmmaking process. After all, actors can't just stand in a blank room, unless the director requests it. This important part of the operation is also one of the most creative. Let's hear about this from our final guest.
Today I'm headed to New York City, currently in Brooklyn, to meet up with Christina on set, who's a production designer.
My name is Christina Bowman, and I am 26 years old, and I work as a production designer on short films and music videos.
She's been in this role for about 2 years. I've asked her questions such as how her typical day looks like, what kind of problems she has to deal with, what decisions she makes, and how she became interested in the field.
Gosh, well, there's a lot of pre-production that goes into it, so it's a lot of sourcing materials, finding out like where you're gonna buy your set dressing from, which is all the stuff that like furniture and whatnot. If you're building something like flats, you need tools and screws and all sorts of stuff. So it's a lot of pre-production. There's also the designing part where you're like drawing out mock-ups to see how the room's gonna look, sending that to the director and getting approval and whatnot. Money and time are the biggest problems, as in anything. But there's also the problem of making sure that everyone's communicating and on the same page. It's a lot of communicating with the director and the producer and the team, you know, below you, getting everything's done. Just trying to have as much like open communication as possible, I would say, make things easier. I got interested in the art department because I PA'd on some stuff and realized that like all of the creative decisions that were happening on set, it felt like they were being made mostly by the art department. And I've always also been interested in art and making things. I like building things using my hands, and that really translates well in the art department in film.
If you thought the only way to earn a living was to work 9 to 5 for a company that won't even provide bagels in the morning, we hope that this has helped you realize that passion and earning money do not have to be separated.
Together, an opportunity to make yourself happy while earning a living can be possible for anyone that has the will to try. Thank you for watching Odd Jobs. I'm Dani Giordano.
And I'm Daniel Figueroa. Have a great day.